This story takes us back 30 years, when my friend Todd and I, yearning for a taste of the wilderness, decided to rent a cabin, the Willows Hut, on the outskirts of Rambling Pines Campground. Now, Todd had a rule: true peace came from disconnecting from the city grind. So, no car for this trip. Just a bus ride and a borrowed car from a friend, who wouldn't be waiting when we arrived. Great. Plan B, hailing a cab. This turned out to be a hilariously bad idea. Mention Willows Hut and After Dark to the driver, and you'd get a lecture on ghosts, witches, and everything that bumps in the night. Finally, after doubling the fare, we convinced him to take us. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows that danced in the headlights. The driver, bless his terrified heart, was convinced they were all sorts of nasty creatures. Todd and I, trying to be brave, and maybe a little cruel, poked fun at him, pointing and laughing at imaginary horrors. But then, time started to warp. An hour passed, then two. The driver, pale as a ghost himself, swore we were on the right track, but doubt gnawed at me. Had we gotten lost? Suddenly, a figure materialized outside the window, a man shrouded in a dark scarf, gliding along beside the car. Hope. Maybe a local who could point us in the right direction. I rolled down the window, but my greeting hung heavy in the air. The man didn't stop, didn't even acknowledge us. He just gestured towards a small dirt road, and the driver, desperate to be done with this haunted journey, took the turn. Just as I turned to thank the stranger, a wave of terror washed over me. He was floating. A few feet above the ground, hair flowing in the wind, scarf gone, revealing nothing. Just darkness. Panic seized us. The driver floored it, the car bouncing on the bumpy road. Finally, a beacon of salvation, the cabin lights. We screeched into the driveway, the driver yelling at the groundskeeper to lock the gates. One look at our faces, and the man knew we'd seen something unspeakable. He confirmed our worst fears: Willow Street was cursed. People who ventured out after dark never made it back. That night, huddled in the safety of the cabin, the city lights we once loathed seemed like a warm embrace. The next morning, Todd and I packed up, vowing never to set foot in those woods again. The memory of that faceless, floating figure, a ghost, a ghoul, whatever it was, will forever be etched in my mind. So, the next time you're planning a camping trip, remember, sometimes, the greatest adventure is the comfort of your own home, free from the clutches of the darkness. Unless, of course, you're into that kind of thing. But hey, that's a story for another night. This is a story of a late-night road trip that took a seriously sinister turn. It all started a few years back, cruising down the highway for my great-uncle's birthday in Alabama. 8 hours of open road stretched before me, and night had already fallen, painting the sky with inky blackness. A pit stop for gas was in order, a sketchy station that sent shivers down my spine the moment I pulled in. Ignoring the unease, I filled the tank and grabbed some snacks for the journey ahead. Back on the road, the headlights sliced through the darkness, revealing nothing but endless fields. Suddenly, a flicker in the rearview mirror caught my eye, a black car, windows tinted so dark they were like empty sockets. Parked haphazardly in a rest stop, it stuck out like a sore thumb. Trying to shake off the jitters, I focused on the road. But a few minutes later, another glance in the mirror revealed the black car, now following at a steady distance. Okay, that was creepy. I tried to ignore it, pushing the gas pedal down a notch, hoping to lose them in the darkness. Big mistake. The black car surged forward, weaving erratically before slamming on its brakes right in front of me. My heart hammered against my ribs as I swerved to avoid a collision. Panic rising, I floored it, desperate to put some distance between us. Then, disaster struck. A sharp turn, a patch of loose gravel, and my car spun out of control, careening into a ditch. Stuck. Alone. Fantastic. Fumbling for my phone, I tried calling for a tow truck, but the signal was dead, lost as a lone star in a cloudy sky. No choice, I had to find help. Stepping out of the car, I saw the black car parked on the shoulder, its engine idling ominously. A figure emerged, a man with long, stringy hair obscuring his face. As he approached, my blood ran cold. His jaw was grotesquely deformed, his clothes ripped and stained. But it was his eyes, gleaming with a psychotic glint, that sent a primal scream of terror up my throat. He lunged, his teeth sinking into my arm. Pain exploded, but adrenaline surged, fueling my fight. I clawed at him, but his grip was like iron. Then, from the distance, a wail pierced the night, sirens. The man's eyes darted towards the approaching sound, and with a final, chilling grin, he released me, shoving a glint of steel, a knife, back into his pocket. He melted into the shadows just as the police screeched to a halt. The next few hours were a blur of explanations, searches, and relief. They caught the man, an escapee from a nearby mental asylum. He'd stolen a car, and I guess I was just unlucky enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Shaken but alive, I eventually made it to Alabama, a rental car taking the place of my mangled one. But the memory of that night, the chilling chase, the monstrous attacker, stays with me to this day. A stark reminder that sometimes, the darkness holds more than just shadows. So, the next time you're on a late-night drive, keep your eyes peeled and your phone charged. You never know what horrors might be lurking around the next bend. Picture this, me and my buddy Oliver, cruising through upstate New York on some deserted backroads. Highway noise was getting old, so we opted for a scenic detour, a narrow, crumbling road that snaked through dense woods. Suddenly, Oliver hits the brakes, his face contorted in pain. Apparently, his bladder was about to declare war, and the nearest gas station was a distant dream. No worries, I thought, we can find a quiet spot in the woods. But then, a glimmer of hope. Lights in the distance, a 7-Eleven oasis in this desolate landscape. Oliver practically flung himself out of the car and bolted towards the store. Meanwhile, I was feeling a rumble in my own esoliverak. Digging through my pockets, I figured I could at least score a bag of cheesy goodness to tide me over. Stepping inside, I browsed the aisles, a strange tingling sensation prickling the back of my neck. Turning around, I saw a peculiar sight, a man in a bright yellow suit, lurking in the next aisle. He shuffled away as our eyes met, and I dismissed it as weird gas station attire. Snack acquired, I headed back to the car, anxiety gnawing at me. Oliver was nowhere to be seen. A quick text revealed his usual brand of humor, finishing up a whopper of a **bleep****. Just classic Oliver. Munches in hand, I waited. Then, a voice. A low, raspy call from the darkness. Panic surged as I scanned the shadows, but saw nothing. Finally, I spotted him, a gaunt figure peering out from the trees. Dirt smeared his face, eyes wide and glassy, like a sleepwalker lost in a nightmare. We locked eyes for what felt like an eternity. Then, a guttural whisper, "Hell no." My heart pounded a frantic rhythm. Locking the doors, I urged Oliver to hurry with a frantic text, "Creepy weirdo outside the car." His nonchalant reply, "Hi, be right over." Seconds later, he burst out of the store, oblivious to the terror gripping me. We peeled out of there, leaving that unsettling place behind. One last glance in the rearview mirror sent shivers down my spine. 3 shadowy figures, cloaked and bulky, emerged from the trees surrounding the 7-Eleven. What lurked in the heart of that gas station convenience store? No idea, and frankly, I don't ever want to find out. Let's just say some backroads are best left untraveled, and some roadside pit stops are better off avoided. Stay safe out there, folks, and keep those gas station visits well lit. This happened back in 2015, a time when me and my 5 buddies, a freelance photo and video editing crew, had more free time than a squirrel in a nut factory. Our usual escape. A road trip to a secluded lake with sweet camping spots and a nearby ski resort, the perfect recipe for a weekend getaway. This time, though, things took a dark turn. We finished our projects early, giving us a few glorious days off. Packed to the gills with gear and snacks, we hit the road, 6 strong. Daniel, Owen, Carol, Donna, Asher, and yours truly. For this trip, Asher was sporting a brand new Pride and Joy, a converted Sprinter van, perfect for a 2-person camper adventure. Daniel opted to ride shotgun with Asher, leaving Owen and me to cruise on our motorcycles. The trip was a blast, carving down ski slopes, bonding over campfire meals, and enduring Asher's endless bragging about his van. But all good things must come to an end. On our way back, hunger pangs struck, forcing a pit stop at a gas station. A quick grab-and-go mission, you'd think. Big mistake. Vehicles left unlocked, doors wide open for a good 5 minutes while we browsed snacks. Stepping back outside, a gut punch of a scene greeted us. Asher's van vanished. Donna's car had a nasty dent, a matching one on a nearby truck. Panic surged through us like a tidal wave. Calling the police in this remote location meant a frustrating wait. By the time they arrived, the chances of finding the van were slim. The most terrifying detail. Daniel had brought his work laptop, no password, wide open for the taking. Hours crawled by, the search yielded nothing. Dejected, we packed up, Daniel and Asher squeezed into Donna's car, while Owen and I followed on our bikes, maintaining a tight formation. Those 3 remaining hours on the road were the longest, most silent we'd ever experienced. A few weeks later, a frantic call from Asher. The police found the van. Relief? Mixed with a sickening dread. The van had been flipped on its side, dumped in a ditch far from where it was stolen. Once they righted the wreck and let us take a peek inside, a cold sweat plastered itself to our skin. Daniel's laptop, gone. Asher's kebab knives, missing. But the worst part, the driver's side seats, stained a dark, horrifying red in multiple spots. Slash marks clawed across the dashboard like a desperate, angry hand. Fear coiled around us tighter than a boa constrictor. Asher let the police take the van for further investigation, but the story ends there. We never learned what truly happened in that van, or who, or what, left those chilling marks. The mystery of the stolen van, a chilling reminder that sometimes, the road less traveled is best left untraveled. Stay creepy, my friends. This happened a few years back, on a celebratory road trip after a killer party. Me and my honey were cruising down the highway, music pumping, the world a blur of happy exhaustion. But then, a jolt, the car sputtered and died, leaving us stranded in the middle of nowhere. Panic started to gnaw at me. This deserted highway always gave me the creeps, and honey mentioned a local legend, a haunted stretch of road where people vanished without a trace. I tried to laugh it off, but the hairs on my neck were already prickling. Honey, it'll take 10 minutes to restart, I said, fiddling with the engine. But 10 minutes turned into 20, and frustration morphed into fear. We should stay in the car, I suggested, eyeing the dense forest bordering the road. I can't wait, she whimpered. I just want to get home. Then, a sound pierced the silence, a muffled sob. We exchanged a terrified glance. Was it just the wind playing tricks? No, it came again, closer this time. Did you hear that? Honey whispered, her voice trembling. Against my better judgment, I said, let's check it out. Maybe someone needs help. Ignoring the knot of dread in my stomach, I called out, hello? Is anyone there? A reply came back, a choked cry for help. Honey begged me to stay in the car, but a morbid curiosity, mixed with a dash of heroism, propelled me forward. Simon, where are you? I called, pushing through the thick undergrowth. The forest floor was eerily silent except for the frantic beating of my heart. Suddenly, a cold hand gripped my wrist. I screamed, scrambling back. A girl, disheveled and distraught, stood there. Help me, she pleaded. My friend fainted. We're all alone. Honey's terrified shouts yanked me back to reality. We don't believe in the stories, I stammered, fear twisting my voice. We have to leave. The girl's face contorted into a mask of rage. "No. Don't leave me," she shrieked. Then, a chilling truth dawned on me. The legend, the girl, it was all true. With a strength born of terror, I tore myself free and raced back to the car. Honey threw the car in gear, and we peeled out of there, leaving the girl's screams echoing in the darkness. We never looked back, and thankfully, the car never sputtered again. That night taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes, it's best to stick to the well-lit paths, and leave spooky legends exactly where they belong, in the shadows. Stay safe out there, folks. And remember, some stories are better left untold. If you enjoyed these stories, you must listen to this story. I would never drive at night again, only because of that incident. Click on the video on the screen.